Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Um, this didn't have market didn't react how I wanted it to be, but does it really matter? Well, let's go through it. Because we have a lot of issues on our hand. That is not a straightforward thing, but but I think we can. I think we can survive it, right? It's not that bad. So um, regardless of everything. Yeah, boom, bye. Yeah, Ari, you know that I was you. I know you were not there. Um, uh, yeah, no, I think before anything else, dollar yen is what I'm not going to touch today. You bought at 154.18. Okay, cool. Okay, okay. You're brave. You're brave. Hi, hello. So, okay, let's go through some things. Had a very clear matter what I wanted to talk about. So, dollar, fell on the open. I said yesterday I believe it should go higher, and then fall. So to me, I'm not right. I'm not wrong. I'm just different. And the fall that we saw yesterday, I believe, is the pricing in of the tariffs that he added, so more weakness. If you see S&P 500 also fell, but is now finding ever so slightly at bottom on this one, and Nasdaq the same. So not a great deal of running. And then the other thing is, we have Euro USD, where I have to sneeze. Oh. Euro USD went gapped up higher and went higher. Also, to me, is more like okay, how long can we wait for it to come back lower, um, come back down to central pivot or anything like some kind of resistance. So I don't have any limit orders here yet, but I mean, in my in my theory of the world is that if USA strikes Iran, um, it should momentarily send euro lower and then higher. So if I'm supposed to catch anything, I think it will be limit orders. And what am I basing that off on? Is that last year we had a momentarily drop when they did strikes overnight, and then market dropped, and then they did it again, and then when Iran did it but didn't do any damage, market accelerated. So this is kind of how I'm not necessarily how I'm looking at it, but if we go higher now on euro, that doesn't really bother me. So I'll just wait like a shark. And the reason why I don't like dollar yen at the moment is because dollar is weak. I would imagine dollar weakness, and I would imagine yen weakness. So to me, that would mean maybe the same. If we saw last year around, driven by the same things, it rose sharply and fell sharply. So I think that is more than enough. All right. Who is here today? The thing is that I'm just wondering if there's anyone who's never been here before, um, but what I do fundamentals, I then do seasonality, and I then do sentiment, and I then do technical analysis. And the the next driver there is risk on, risk off, or risk events. what generally tends to happen in a risk event is that we, for example, on oil, I would imagine, would rise sharply on the rumors, and then the event happening, and then if there's no more escalation, and that would be within the hour after the event, it will fall. So what they based that upon many things and many times, but this was when US had a strike at Iran last year, gap up, but then fell and fell quite sharply and harshly. And this is when Iran had strike U.S. military base in Qatar. Told them beforehand, nothing major happened, and then all of this, what do you call it? All of this that was priced out within the same day. So eh, as long as we don't have retaliation, as long as we don't have anything major. So what I normally used to say, and what I normally say, is that there is levels to this. If both of them are on the same level, they just do what they did last year, everything is okay. Everything is great. Cool. Nothing major. If they go to number 2, which is maybe taking ships in arrest, or they're starting to mess with oil ships, then that's second escalation. And number 3, if you have another country involved, like Israel, and number 4 is an atomic one between the US. And I said yesterday, if number 5 would then be if China, Russia, Iran against a US, Israel, Europe in an atomic kind of situation. So as long as they just do this down here, meaning just did what they did last year, having some rockets here and there, not real damage. It's just gonna create a $5 move on oil and then fall down. So this is where I hope nothing of this happens, but if anything, as little as possible, wouldn't be that much, and then we will price out the event, because what Iran has been doing for the longest and for many times is that they normally, when they are attacked, they don't escalate. They try to de-escalate, and I comrade them for it. So that's what I believe market also today is expecting. And then we don't know if this is going to happen. So we just have to wait and see. That's the fun part. And then dollar Swiss had a bit of a fall last night, and I thought, that sounds like that. I I I didn't want to discuss it yesterday because I was like, I don't know where this one is going, and now it has shown its cards. I mean, looks great, doesn't it? But I needed to come higher. I can't sell now. Swissy yen, yada, yada. Okay. You haven't done too much, have you? So come back down to support again. Waiting for this one to turn higher. Aussie yen, I'm in, and it made a new high. Came back lower again. It's now reaching higher. So to me, it's just in and out of profits. Canada. Oh, Canada. Okay, Canada came back down to support again. Great level. That would have been a good buy, by the way, but okay. Euro yen in and out of profit. I'm not too happy with this entry, but you know, it is what it is. Pound yen, that's not a trading noise. Hasn't broken out yet, so still waiting for it. New Zealand yen hasn't broken out yet, and then dollar yen. I mean, dollar yen, by all intents and purposes, already could rise. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't know where it's going to go. I can't seem to understand it, and that's just my problem. Hmm. Certain assets you want me to go through, and I would be very happy for. I would be very happy to go through them. If we jump over to gold, and I said yesterday that yes, we're gonna go back up higher, or we're gonna go higher, and I think that is very much has happened. Now the question in mind that we have to ask ourselves: are we going to continue? Um, are we going to continue higher? And that's a legitimate question. We have broken out of a range. Just have that in mind. Um, so yeah, I don't know why I was confident it would just go higher and higher and higher yesterday, and now I'm looking at the price action for now. I'm more like, hmm, was that the move I was expecting? And that's what it showed, and now we're just pulling back and then falling. Because if we are going to go higher, 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 I mean, there is, of course, that's kind of price action, but if I'm expecting that and I'm getting that instead, then hmm, hmm, then I'm not necessarily worried, but I don't have an internet anyway, so why do I care? Um, then I would have to sit and wait, because this can then fall more and then rise again on the news of an actual event. That because these last few candles, not that it shouldn't have happened, but just expected to explode more. But okay, that is okay. Um, then the Chinese New Year, is it is it ending? Well, you're supposed to be back. You're supposed to be back now this week, so that of course drives demand even more. Or at least I would imagine that would be driving demand again, because we have just been in a range out of nowhere in the past week. So maybe that could be the one of the few last drivers that really drives it higher. So not only do we have tariffs, not only do we have a possible attack on Iran, not only do we have changes to tariffs, but we also have a ship, a medical ship, going to Greenland, or at least allegedly supposed to go to Greenland. I find that very funny. Um, but um, but yeah, okay. So to me, the U.S. economy is relatively very strong. Um, while inflation can be a bit lower, but unemployment rate, PMIs, growth has been rather good. Um, so to me, I'm short on dollar is more than anything else a short-term volatility event, more than a longer-term bullish, bearish event. But you know, it is it is what it is. Then for S&P 500, since the U.S. economy is so strong, is so great and so strong, I would imagine this one too to start picking up and making higher highs and higher lows soon. And of course, the event or the news headlines that has been lately, of course, dampens it short term, or short term is like today, tomorrow, and then it should make it go higher after that. Trump considers targeted against Iran, and that was yesterday at 22:41. So to me, yeah, there's no more red fall overnight, is it? No, not really. Okay. Just Hong Kong. Bitcoin falls. China urges US to lift unilateral tariffs on trading partners. Indian rupee opens 24.24% up. Yeah, that's dollar weakness. Earthquake 5.3 in Xinjiang, China. Okay, that's not fun. Christian Lagarde received 140,000 euros from BIS. Okay, that's interesting. Magnitude 6.3 strikes Alaska. Okay. 6.28 strikes islands in Fox Islands and Elevation Islands. What's happening? And then we need to look at the wrap session for Europe. Senior US officials said President Trump treat defeat at the Supreme Court won't unravel deals, negotiate with US as they are sought to defend administration assertive trade policies. Okay. So doesn't change them. Okay. Okay. In swift reversal of fortunes, countries that has been hardest hit by US tariffs have emerged as the biggest winners from the Supreme Court decision to strike down his emergency levy. Oil fell as investors weighed the odds of a nuclear deal between the US and Iran, with more negotiations on the issue expected later this week as American forces mass in the Middle East. New Zealand retail sales increased more than expected in the fourth quarter, suggesting economic recovery maintained the momentum in the final month of 2025. Okay, cool. Fair enough. But yeah. So I guess the reason for why gold isn't going as quickly high as I want it to go is that there is pricing in by the market of less likely of a strike, more likely to have a deal. Now that's a weird thing. I have to say it's a weird thing where one they're trying to negotiate and Iran is effectively still trying to negotiate while you are being threatened with nuclear, with a military intervention. It doesn't ring a bell. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, it is what it is then. If that's what you want, then okay. I would be angry. I won't be negotiating with somebody who has ships outside of uh, who has uh, who has weapons against me while trying to negotiate. No, that's not going to work. So it is what it is then. Aussie dollar um had a bit of a rise. I don't like this price action. Value high yesterday came down and then up, but we were out of range and we are kind of in nowhere. But yeah, maybe I should have. But I mean, the beginning of the trend is like here, and now we're just late. So nah, count me out. The euro dollar is still okay. There's some positivity out of here. Maybe fall a bit more. Thank you. Pound. Pound has interestingly turned around a bit. And of course, we all know pound isn't enough, but it makes at least a new high and a pullback. Um, and the difference is that it could fall a good 87 pips or so before it turns higher again. So pound is weak. Um, we have Bank of England supposed to cut in their next meeting in March. And well, now dollar's also weak, so This is more like a pair I would sell with dollar strong more than buy if pound if dollar is weak. But I mean, all each to their own. So I like that. It pulled higher and now it's pulling back. That would be great. That'd be very, 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 very thankful. But if I were supposed to do anything at all, wouldn't it be better to be looking at pound Aussie? Look at that. Or pound CAD, pound New Zealand. Pound CAD seems to be having a bit of a better day. But the problem here is that we are very low. We don't have good deep reversals first. But I mean, why not? Why can't it continue lower? I'm not going to trade it, but I'm like, okay, you should continue lower. But the problem here is of course, that is a monthly target. So that's why I can't trade it. But I can always hope for it to go lower. That would be great. Hi, hi, Manny. How are you? Hmm. Can I get a pullback on dollar Swiss? Yeah, maybe. Can I get a pullback on euro? Yeah. Okay, I can. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for providing me with a pullback. Um, shit. Yeah, okay, there is 34 minutes until AFO. Okay. Business Climate. IFO Institute. Um, okay. Cool, yeah, so this is orange, not red. So, okay, 34 minutes from now. That would be great. I need to take away my previous trades here. 100 and what, 189, 162 tips in the bank. Now I just need for this one to turn around. The the reason why I would be buying dollar, you start buying your dollar would be so that we can get back up at resistance, so that we can short it again. But of course, it's also because it is the money flow at the moment would be uh, too short from 120, and the current money flow is dollar weakness. So of course, I'm going to live by it. I also said that New Zealand was a great thing to look into yesterday. And we now have the first higher high and higher low. Okay, it's okay. Doesn't look fantastic. It has broken resistance, now turning into support. I feel like this can do this and then turn higher. Because this is like mid-air type situation, range bound, which is going to be, yeah, it's not a trending thing. So to me, I'll pass for London Open. Maybe New York can give me something different, or London Open tomorrow. Um, the problem that I have here is evidently that we did rise on the first hour yesterday, and then now everything has come down, and that's generally not a good thing. Um, Generally, thing when we have these pullbacks off an event, and it's 100% retracement, that generally is a, a thing that would suggest, maybe, just maybe, that that it's that it's whatever price it higher, whatever sent it higher, doesn't really um, affect the market anymore. So to me, it seems like the market's like, okay, we don't think that a nuclear event will happen. So okay, that's what everyone thought yesterday, but apparently not today. And the reason is pretty simple. It hasn't happened yet, so that's one fact. And two, they're trying to negotiate. And yeah, okay, cool. It is what it is then. Another thing that is quite important for me is the yen. And though it has come in lower for today, that was great. That it had a bit of a pullback coming into centrals, coming into M2, coming into support. Uh, that is great. Um, I just wish I had a better entry. It is what it is. And so we now continue higher. And the only way for this one to continue higher, not exclusively, but not limited to either, is that there is a belief that there will be a deal and we just continue as normal. CAD yen, I'm a bit annoyed that I didn't take this. Maybe I can do that. That pull back within the hour on this candle. Yeah, okay. Something in that direction then. So I need to put a alert there just in case, so that if we do come back, I'm notified. But at the moment, this is, by the way, 50-50. So it could go, it could not go, it could then collapse. Here, of course, one thing else, and then the pips stop loss. That's 100. That's 120. So the pip stop loss needed to be entering this is a lot. Mentally, at least, a lot. But the other option then is to wait for this one to turn higher, and then do a pullback, and then use this as support, and then it becomes more like 70 pips, 80 pips. So you can reduce your pip usage by waiting for new higher high and higher low. And but at the moment, I'm just, yeah, I'd rather do that. So we'll see. I'm not very sold on CAN that I'm more buying. I'm more selling euro. I'm more selling yen more than I'm selling anything else. So that's pretty much uh, that's pretty much all, most of it at least. And the reason why I would go higher and continue to go higher if yen isn't weak, then there is no hope. And then the same thing for euro yen. And this one needs a new higher high, so I'll wait for that. And then somebody asked me yesterday, can you look at a pound yen? And pound yen to me is just a range. And it's the range of deranged and is range of weakness. Pound is weak, yen is weak, and unfortunately, the top to bottom is 178 pips. So it requires a lot of pips to buy it, and it requires, sorry, stop loss, and it requires a lot of patience so far because it hasn't broken through. Maybe it breaks through in one big blow because that's generally how this looks like right now. But at the moment, there is no readily available price action that makes me think, we have decided on which direction we're going to go. So to me, in the meantime, this can fall more before it turns higher. The Brazilian same boat range is to make a new higher high. Bitcoin. Now, I said yesterday, and I'm going to say this until I become blue, purple, and pink. I want this to go higher, and I thought that 60,000 that we hit was a good enough price. That's good enough. And where price is going to go next is not necessarily very important to me. I don't need it to go in a specific direction, but I would like it to have a bullish turn trend. The problem that crypto has had is the outflow of US money and the lack of confidence from the US market into crypto. And they are a large, driving force. And then of course we have entered big money here as well. So there is that manipulation where once you think that we're going to go to the moon, and we did about 100 up to 126 or something, then once you are at the top and everyone talks about it, that's when it drops. So why not? So when everything is at the bottom, everyone is selling and everyone is trying to, protect their own, protect their own, protect themselves, at least in this fall here from 80 from 88 or 90 down to 65. Yeah, then that would be that would definitely be the fall that would make people protect themselves and then turn the price higher again. Why not? But yeah, more than anything else, for me, we have halved. We have fallen 50%, and that's generally what I would believe should be the trade plan. But of course, along the way, we can change because risk events happened and turns it even lower. Dollar SAR would be, well, yeah, look at that. Okay. I said dollar SAR should have a bearish turn. Um, is there a price action intro here? Yeah, okay. There it is. Okay, interesting then. Okay. So South African rand doing absolutely fantastic, with dollar having a bad day. Okay, this actually could have had a great turnaround. Now the problem now is I needed to come back up to 16 to 15 before I can sell it. If it drops now, it's a long gone. It is whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. Uh, and let's see, US's General Ford will arrive at U.S. Central Command CENTCOM in the coming hours. That was yesterday. Yeah. And Axios says that US officials, Iran has 48 hours to submit an offer. And if you don't do it, but okay, it is what it is then. This is strange. Yeah, Trump is considering a targeted. I can't access this. So yeah, considering a targeted event. So okay. The strength and the weakness of the currencies this morning is that yen would be started out strong and is now weaker. Dollar is somewhere weaker and just ranging weaker. Aussie was weakest, now turning more bullish at least. Swissie was stronger and falling a bit now, getting some strength now. New Zealand is somewhere in the middle, and CAD is somewhere in the middle, and pound is somewhere in the middle, strengthening slightly. Okay, so the yen strongest turning weaker, and Aussie was weakest turning stronger. That means that my Aussie yen should go even higher. Yeah. Okay. I'm just wanting to remind you that I'm not happy with my entry, and we are very high and late into the trend. So if this one turns around and hits my stop loss, I don't really care too much. It's not that deep, right? I'll live with it. I'll live with it. It's okay. And especially with I took the trade and then things have started to happen after. So okay, I'll take it. My euro dollar is now coming lower. I like it and I love it. Weekly, and I needed to come a bit more lower, and then for it to turn around. And just on a general perspective, I don't like that whatever drove the market here seems to no longer be there. So I have to watch this candle. I can't just buy randomly. Pound, New Zealand, Swiss. Would you look at that? Dollar yen then that should be a good drive for dollar yen. Congratulations, Ari, on profits this morning. Should be happy with yourself. You did better than me, at least in terms of managing emotions and expectations. I don't have the thing with yen, dollar yen. This one could, in my eyes, yeah, 152, 150. So until then, I'll just leave it alone. From ING this morning, they say that the risk of a US strike has not receded, and traders will be reluctant to pile into risk positions. For today, the lookout is the German IFO, which I talked about earlier, and then we'll also hear why the Fed Waller wants a rate cut. Now, the rate cut camp in the Fed is still relatively small group of people, too. So in that sense, that would be great for him to come out and say, "Hey, this is what I want to happen." And yeah, dollar started off weak. Sorry, started off weak. But the fact that US hasn't done any launch of a military strike in Iran this weekend is probably one factor behind dollar selling. But trade uncertainty is what means for the US economy is another. So that would be why I would fall. On the trade side of the world now has to do with 15% Section 122 import surcharge rather than varying tariff level imposed by the prior IEEPA regime. This means that likes of China and Brazil could get lower rates because they are much above the 15%. And countries like UK and Australia would lose their advantage at their only 10% negotiated tariff deals. Needless to say, many are now reviewing their trade deals with the US. The important part is which is probably EU. While US equities initially bounced on the news Friday, equities are off 6.7% overnight. Investors reassess the situation, and US businesses face a little immediate prospect of seeing any tariff rebates. So the other part to this Supreme Court is that people are or businesses are now getting ready to sue the government to get the tariffs repaid, paid back, and that of course would be significant for the individual business, but it would be significant also for the U.S. economy. If that is going to be taken away or put back into businesses, or if a court orders the government to pay everyone who has paid tariffs, one, there's an outflux of money that need to get out of the treasury and into businesses, and that should at least help the U.S. The U.S. stock market. slightly, at least in positive direction, that there is more profits to come in. Though it's momentarily, and for the short term, it also shows that you can, even though you put tariffs on, it doesn't necessarily stick for a long time. So it's just going to be a temporary thing for businesses to do. So temporarily, it won't affect the stock prices so much in the future. And then for your dollar edging higher, one would be that EU would not get any worse trade deal that it already has. So that could be positive for that matter. And could benefit euro slightly at least. But yeah. All right, traders. I'm watching this euro dollar falling, this pound dollar slightly falling, and the pricing out of what happened overnight. I'm not sure where and how far it's going to go lower, so I want to be protective, but I also want to do other things. So in the meantime, I'll be on A1 later today on New York. So that's it for me. Hope you have a great day. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you then.